Hi guys, a very good afternoon to one and all. Once again, welcome to a session from BYJU'S Exam Prep. Today we're going to talk about the 30-day preparation plan. Some of you might be confused. The session title was 15 days. Why am I talking about 30 days? यार इसका logic काफ़ी simple है. This is 31st of May and I'm pretty as of now CUET का exam date तो आया नहीं है. But it is more or less guaranteed that it is not going to happen in June, because I believe last date for change of your application form or errors in your application form correct करने का date I think is June 22nd or something like that. तो before your end of this month exam तो होने वाला नहीं है. So we are expecting the exam to be anywhere in July. So that is the reason why we have made that 15 days into a 30 day. So I'm going to talk about basic 30 days. Now, before I go ahead to all of you who are listening, this session is for those who are starting the preparation right now. They did not think about CUET before. काफ़ी लोग हैं आप में से जो मेरे सेशन ऑलरेडी अटेंड कर चुके हैं. यू हैव बीन पार्ट ऑफ माई सेशंस गोइंग फॉरवर्ड और इन द पास्ट. फॉर यू इट विल बी अ लॉट ऑफ रिपीटिशन, सो please excuse me for that, but my purpose here is to assuming that students who have not attended any of the sessions, this is the first session that they're attending and they're going to start their preparation today. Okay, so I will start with some of the basics once again, so please don't complain that it is repeating. Yes, quite a bit of it will be repetition, but let's go ahead and take a look at what is this that we are going to look at, this exam called CUET. Especially we are talking about in CUET we are going to talk about one type of the exam, which is general test. Okay, so general test is required for based on the course. It is required for I think BBA, finance based courses, some other courses also, but this general test basically is an aptitude based general test. So that is what we are going to talk about today. So firstly, starting with the paper pattern, once again for those of you who are not aware, who are attending this session for the first time, I've put this for the benefit of them. We have 5 sections in this CUET general test paper. So these 5 sections, basically each section will give you 15 questions. So 15 into 5, totally there are 75 questions. Okay, so a total of 75 questions, and very nicely the exam says answer any 60. तो 75 में से आपको 60 आंसर करने हैं. Again, these 60 cannot be from anywhere. This should be 15 क्वेश्चन में से आपको 5 sections, but 12 you have to answer per section. So ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है कि you leave one section completely and 15 into 4 gives you 60, then that is not valid. What is valid is you have to attempt a maximum of 12 per section. So 12 into 5 gives you a total of 60, and that is the way in which this exam is set for you. Okay, you are supposed to answer that way 60. And yes, the marking scheme is if you get it correct, it is plus 5 marks per question. If you get it wrong, it is minus 1 marks per question, and if you leave it, it is 0 marks per question. So you can get a maximum of 60 into 5, which is 300 marks. You can get a maximum score of 300. Okay, so that's the basic pattern over here. So what are these 5 sections? इसमें होता क्या है? We're going to take a quick look at that. First section is general knowledge, current affairs. By the way, a couple of you have asked me this. Are there going to be any questions I'm going to solve today? If any one of you, my regular students who attend my regular sessions in YouTube, if you are waiting for questions, my friend, आज कोई question नहीं करने वाले हैं. We are not going to solve any particular questions today, so please take note of that. बाद में at the end of the session ये मत बोलना कि सर आपने question कराया नहीं. In the first 2-3 minutes itself, I'm telling you that there are no questions for practice today. Okay. Now, Deepak Pandey is asking how to prepare for GK. Deepak, I will take each section preparation plan, but just first let's start by understanding what are these 5 sections. The first section, of course, is general knowledge or current affairs. The second is general mental ability, फिर numerical ability, फिर quant, and फिर logical and analytical reasoning. So let us see what happens in each one of these sections and how to prepare. Okay, so if you're talking about GK, if somebody is starting the preparation today, I'll give you only one task. आपका task है पिछले साल अप्रैल से लेके इस साल के अप्रैल तक, अप्रैल आई विल से May also, April and May. So basically you're talking about 13 to 14 months. Only focus on current affairs. So guys, remember GK has two parts. One is static, the other is current affair. Current affairs is what happened in the recent past. Static GK basically talks about things which have happened in the past and they are well known. For example, if I talk about how many countries are there in the world today, let's say how many continents are there. Simple questions. These don't usually change unless new countries come up. But हाँ, new countries तो फिर भी आ सकते हैं. New continents नहीं आएंगे. Continents वही 7 हैं जो हमने बचपन में पढ़ा था. So the bottom line basically I'm talking about is static GK. Basically कुछ भी हो सकता है क्योंकि इतने साल you're talking about hundreds and thousands of written history. कुछ भी हो सकता है. They can ask you Battle of पानीपत कहाँ पे हुआ. They can ask you let's say Battle of Waterloo कब हुआ. कुछ भी पूछ सकते हैं. The point is you don't have time to prepare for all of that. So I would say firstly Indian static is more important, but even then I would say static को बगल में रखो. Please focus on the current affairs because you have only 30 days. 30 days में सब कुछ नहीं हो सकता है. As I said, this is for students who are preparing today, who are starting your preparation today. If you're starting your preparation today, you have at best 35-37 days because I'm assuming that the first week of July में आपका exam होने वाला है, first या second week. तो worst case 40 days, best case scenario 40 days होगा. Even in 40 days, you can't prepare everything in static GK. That's the reason why I'm saying पिछले 13 से लेके 14 महीने, 13 to 14 months, current affairs ढंग से पढ़ लेना. That is good enough for you as far as your GK is concerned. If you can do this, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to attempt 10 out of the 12 questions that you are required to answer. Okay? So, if time permits, ये करने के बाद भी time अगर बचेगा, then you can talk about Indian history, some basic idea about Indian history, some basic idea about Indian geography. थोड़ा बहुत आप कर सकते हो. But as I said, it's a vast ocean. Even if you're talking about Indian history is not just British rule or the Mughals rule. You can go back hundreds of years, thousands of years into the past. So the point which I'm trying to make is you don't have enough time to cover all of that. So please first focus on current affairs. ये अगर हो गया है, इसके बाद आपके पास और भी टाइम बचा है तो जितना हो सकता है उतना आप स्टार्टिंग जीके कर लो. Okay? Then Jhansi is asking, for agriculture students, do they consider general test? Jhansi, I really don't remember what is the requirement for structure course wise. To be very honest, एक तो मेरी याददाश्त इतनी बुरी है and list इतनी लंबी है तो I don't remember कि BCom के लिए क्या कर रहे हैं, agriculture, BSc agriculture के लिए क्या कर रहे हैं. So I really don't remember that. So sorry Jhansi, I will not be able to answer that question correctly. You will have to go to the particular college. You'll have to look at the particular course which is already there in NTA website and then see what are the requirements there. Okay, I hope that answers, or rather it didn't answer your question, but I hope at least I gave you some idea. Fine, so that's about your GK. So bottom line in GK, don't waste too much of your time reading your static. Focus on 13 to 14 months of current affairs. Time बच गया है, then only go for your Indian static GK. World का GK बगल में रख दो, you don't have time anyway. तो अगर time बच गया है तो India static GK कर लो, that's more than enough. From where to prepare this current affairs section? Deepak, in fact, if you have been a part of any of the groups in BYJU'S Exam Prep, we keep giving out GK nuggets. So basically small, every week you will keep getting GK updates. ठीक है, if you are not even a part of BYJU'S Exam Prep, groups, either on Telegram, that's fine. You can look at any website which is into, let's say, civil services preparation or UPSC. They will give exhaustive list of content for the last 13 to 14 days. In fact, you can look at our BYJU'S Exam Prep website only for CUET. So there will be a lot of content available for you freely as far as your GK is concerned. Go through that for current affairs. That should be good enough. Okay. All right, so I think my team has very nicely posted Jhansi about the place where you can click and get to know for your hotel management and agriculture what kind of combination of exams is required. So I think that will answer. Let's move on. So this is about GK. The second thing is general mental ability. Now, what is this GMA? Those of you who do not know, who have attended my session, we already know what it is, so it's not a problem. But for those of you who don't know what it is, general mental ability is of two parts. One is visual reasoning. Reasoning का मतलब है logic, और एक दूसरा है logical reasoning. Okay, so okay, I'm getting few questions. Okay, so I think that answers both Jhansi and Deepak's question. Anyway, so we have visual reasoning and logical reasoning. So let us understand what are these two type of reasoning questions which come under general mental ability. Now, one of the problems of this general mental ability is basically saying that general mental ability is basically talking about I mean, if I'm talking about the difficulty part here, it is not taught in your school or college. It's unfortunately not a part of the syllabus for your traditional school, right? So you would not be coming across these kind of questions too much. So now how do we go ahead and prepare? First of all, ये होता क्या है? For example, visual reasoning are, an example अगर मुझे देना है, so I can give you a box. Let us say it is like this, and this is shaded. Then I will give you a box again, and this time this is shaded. I'm giving you a simple example. Then I'll give you another box and say this is shaded. And then fourth one, I'll keep a question mark. You can see a pattern here. ये जो shaded है, it is going from here to here, then from here to here. So the logic is quite simple. So options में होंगे, option A, it will again be this one shaded. Option B, this time will be ये वाला shaded, and so on and so forth. So you can see that the correct answer should be option B. So visual reasoning basically talks about identifying a pattern in the figures given, and based on that getting the next symbol or the next figure. That is called as visual reasoning. When you're talking about non-visual reasoning, basically you're talking about logical reasoning. That is anything and everything. So you can talk about blood relations. You can talk about direction sense. You can talk about arrangements. You can talk about ranking and order. All these are puzzles. So these are and many more. There are a lot of things. I'm not mentioning all of them right now. So there are many more questions or types of questions which can be forming a part of your general mental ability. Now, where or what is the best source, free source to prepare? Again, if you have been a part of a Telegram group in BYJU'S Exam Prep, you would have been getting, some kind of a quiz on a regular basis, some free content. But even if you are not a part of it, I would ideally say join it right now, but fine. Even if you're not a part of it, I would say one of the free sources to get these kind of questions are, please search for the last 4 to 5 years of these papers. One is BBA entrance papers. So BBA के लिए, in fact, you have two papers that you can look at. One is your IPM Rohtak, IPMAT Rohtak. It's an exam. It's for a course called IPMAT. The course name itself is IPMAT. It's a 5-year integrated program. So they give an entrance test. The papers are freely available. You can see, download it from the website, and you can see the kind of questions that come under the logic section. Then you can go to an exam called AILET. Question papers are available on the internet free of cost. You can look at the last 4 to 5 years. AILET is an entrance exam for law. फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. They ask logic. The same questions that you have, or the same topics that you are having here, is also asked in this exam. So it doesn't matter कि वो law के लिए पूछ रहे या BBA के लिए पूछ रहे या BCom के लिए पूछ रहे, फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. आपको क्या चाहिए? Question से मतलब है. Same level of questions, same topic of questions come over here. You can also go to CLAT. Again, it's a law entrance exam, but not last 2-3 years. Go to CLAT 2016 to 2020. ये 5 साल. In fact, 2019, not even 20. इसके बाद पैटर्न चेंज हो गया है. That is not relevant to you. So these 5 years, 16, 17, 18, 19, 4 years at least, you can try to download the papers. इसमें जो logic section है उसका आप solve कर सकते हो. So like this, these are just some examples. Take any previous year's question papers of a BCom entrance exam, a BBA entrance exam, or a law entrance exam and search for logic section. You will have hundreds of questions available to you, all of them free of cost. Okay, so practice them. Mostly जब आप download करोगे, they will come with solution and key. So at least when you solve the question, you know whether the key is correct or not. Okay, so that's the content for you. Again, I'm not saying ये book खरीदो, वो book खरीदो. अगर आप पैसा spend करना चाहते हो, then there are a lot of things that you can buy. That's not a problem. As I said, I'm trying to give you the best source of solving with almost zero cost. So that's the purpose of suggesting these things. Deepak is asking how to take notes of current affairs. That's a nice question, Deepak. Let me go back to current affairs. In current affairs, these things are very important. In fact, I think I have that. Let me check somewhere. Okay, I'll mention that here. What is it that you need to prepare in current affairs? What are the things that you need to look at? So in current affairs, the first thing is where, who, and involved people. Where is basically any event you're talking about. For example, G7 summit अभी जो हो रहा है, कहाँ पे हो रहा है? Which country is it happening in? Which city is it happening in? So that is where the where. Where and when also. When talks about the date. So कौन सा date पे हो रहा है? What is the date on which it is happening? From which month to which month? Or so G7 summit usually they will not say कौन सा date पे हुआ था. What they will ask is, usually date is asked, this when question comes when it is a particular event that happened on a particular day, which is of significance. Usually people don't ask, for example, if I say farmers agitation कब से कब तक हुआ है, nobody is going to ask you कब से कब तक हुआ है. But what they can ask you is, when was this farm bill reappealed, or when was this actually made into a law? Then when was it reappealed? So there's a particular date associated. They can talk about the particular date. Similarly, who are the people involved? Now, for example, if I talk about this G7 summit, what are the 7 countries which are a part of this G7 summit? I can talk about when did this start? Now, when was the first time this summit happened, or when was it initially formed? So all such kind of things. So where, who are the people involved, and when did this happen? These are the things you have to by heart. Don't get too much into कि, see, if you are interested वो अलग सी बात है, but as far as the exam is concerned, आपको descriptive answer नहीं लिखना है. So you don't need to know कि उसमें क्या बात किया गया है exactly, किसने क्या कहा, ये सब की जरूरत नहीं है. So look at what is important there, read it, by heart it, get out. You don't need to get too much into the depth of it, because they are not asking you, ये civil services नहीं है जहाँ पे आपको descriptive answer देना होगा कि what are the advantages of it or disadvantages of it, or what was the output of it. ये सब, if you like reading, that's good. But from the perspective of the exam, you don't need to get too much into depth. But yes, these are the things that you need to keep in mind when you're talking about current affairs. Right, Deepak? So when you're talking about making notes of current affairs, make notes on these points. Clear? So that's about your GK, and that's about your general mental ability. The next thing you're talking about is numerical ability. This is again something which you're been taught, लेकिन इसका practice ज़्यादा हुआ नहीं है. Okay, I'm getting a question. So can I cover the whole PCM syllabus in 30 days? Please reply. Mr. CSE, Physics, Chemistry, Maths syllabus in 30 days. भाई पिछले 2 साल से क्या कर रहे थे आप? Right? This is an exam to test what you have learned. You're talking about subject specific, I'm assuming. So you should not ask me, can I cover it in 30 days? You are supposed to have learned it over the last 2 years. Right? So if you are asking me, can I cover it in 30 days, the PCM syllabus, that is Physics, Chemistry, Maths, for your subject knowledge, then there's something wrong in your last 2 years preparation. Now, having said that, is it possible to cover it in 30 days? Depends on how much you have studied for your 12th class. Remember, your 11th and 12th वही syllabus आने वाला है. It is not additional from what you learned. So if you have done a good job in your school, your 11th and 12th you have learnt well, then you can easily revise everything in 30 days. If you are not really putting in your effort in your 11th and 12th, ज़्यादा कुछ सीखा ही नहीं आपने, then that's a problem. CSE bhai, you will have a lot of work coming your way. If you are a college dropper, then what were you doing for the last 1 year? You would have prepared something, right? For some exam you would have prepared. So please make sure that 30 days you will have to spend a lot of hours per day, because you are looking at this test that I'm talking about, the general test also, and you're looking at subject knowledge of PCM also. So I'll not say it is impossible, but yes, it is not easy either. You will have to spend something like 6 to 7 hours to 8 hours per day. Then yes, it is possible. If you are spending 6 to 8 hours, 3 घंटे के ऊपर don't spend on aptitude. 3 hours on aptitude is more than enough per day. बाकी सब please spend on your PCM. Okay, so what is this numerical ability exactly? इसमें होता क्या है? Numerical ability is actually called as data interpretation. So what exactly is this data interpretation? Data interpretation, as the name indicates, data means information. Interpretation is understanding. Understanding basically, or seeing, understanding what has been given to you. This information can be given to you in simple tabular form. Tabular form to sabko pata hai, rows and columns. This is very simple. I can also give this to you in terms of a bar graph, where I'll give you the information like this. There is a bar here, then there is a lower bar, then there is a bigger bar, then there is another bigger bar, and so on and so forth. I can give you information like this. I can give it to you in terms of line graph, a line bar or a line graph. I can also give it to you in terms of a pie chart. So you should be able to understand at least these basic forms of presenting the information. अगर आपके पास ये information है, तो इसको आप कैसे पढ़ोगे, इसका मतलब क्या होगा? Okay? But that's not just it. That's the first part. Understanding the information is the first part. The second part, which is the most important part, is the calculation. For example, what kind of calculations are you looking at? So if I say, find out 33.33% of 696. Now, do you understand? Quickly, can you do this? Saying that 33.33 is 1/3. Do you know that 33.33 percentage in terms of a fraction is 1/3? So you want 1/3 of 696, which is 232. Ho gaya. If I ask you what is 37.5% of, let's say, 816, can you quickly do this? Do you know that 37.5% is actually a fractional form of 3/8? So 3/8 into 816, 8 ones are 0, 8 twos are, so this is 306. So these kind of calculations, quickly doing without a calculator, that is what I meant by calculation practice. So if I say, for example, if I say Ram's salary is 126, whatever, 126 rupees, let's say it's like 50 years old. Now if I say Ramu's salary is increasing by 25%, what is the new salary? 25% new salary matlab, first find out what is 1/4 of 126. So 126 by 4, 3, 4 ones are 4, 4 5s are 20. So your increment should be 31.5. So increase, so 31.5 add karo iska, to kya ho gaya aapka? 157.5. That is your answer. This, doing it in 10 seconds, doing it in 15 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds, that is the speed that you want. So understanding of these things and then calculating based on the question. For example, if I give you a table and if I say sales of Maruti car, then I give you Toyota car, then I give you Hyundai, and I'll give you in 3 years. Let's say this is 2020, 21 and 22. So Maruti, let's say, is 1055. Let's say Toyota is 1600 and Hyundai is 1400. Some random numbers I'm giving. And if I ask you, find out the percentage, how much percentage is Toyota more than Hyundai? So we are basically talking about 1600 minus 1400 by 1400. Because how much is Toyota more than Hyundai? So basically you're talking about 200 by 700. into 100. 200 by 1400 into 100. So this goes away, 2 goes 7 times, so 100 by 7. 107 should be 14.28%. So can you do these calculations quickly? That is what is tested in the numerical ability. So the whole idea, if you want to prepare for numerical ability, is first understanding ये तो हो जाएगा, a little bit of practice, but a lot of practice is required for your calculation practice. Okay. Okay, I've got a couple of chat queries, I think. Okay, there's no query. I think it's a discussion on who can give, who cannot give the CUET. I don't think CUET has any issue with dropping of a year. That's not a problem as far as I know. I think Mr. CSE is right, but anyway, let's move on. So this is what happens in your numerical ability, and many students falter here also because you are not used to such kind of calculations. आपके स्कूल में या 11th and 12th में जो questions पढ़ाया जाते हैं, you don't come across these kind of calculations. Maths में भी ऐसे calculations नहीं आते. Typically you come across calculations जो simple से होते हैं, answer आ जाता है, root निकालना है, perfect square आ जाता है. So all those are quick, and even if it is not quick, even if it requires time, आपके पास काफी time होगा. लेकिन यहाँ पे पहली बात, you will not have enough time. Secondly, the calculations are not what you're used to. So this will require a significant amount of work. Okay. Then moving on to the next part, which is the math. So previous one is also math, but this is specific to calculation here. And the next one is actual math, where this is the kind of math that you have learned. For example, arithmetic, algebra, geometry, mensuration. Arithmetic क्या हो सकता है? So they can talk about profit and loss. They can talk about SICI, the concepts that you already know. They can talk about algebra, solving simple equations. Two variable equations को आप solve कर सकते हैं कि नहीं? Quadratic equation को आप solve कर सकते हो कि नहीं? Simple algebra that you have been taught in your school. Geometry, do you know the properties of a circle, properties of a triangle, properties which involve a circle and a triangle together? Do you remember these things? Incircle का मतलब क्या है? Circumcircle का मतलब क्या है? Is there a relationship between circum, radius and area of a triangle? All these basic properties which have been a part of your curriculum in your 11th, 10th, 11th, 12th standard, that is what will be asked here. In fact, not even 11th and 12th. I think, yes, this will be... if you are looking at subject specific knowledge, if you are looking at subject of maths, subject test, then 11th and 12th will be asked. Here it's not even 11th and 12th, here it is till 10th. The aptitude is till 10th only, not even 11th. Because 11th class maths में बहुत कुछ पढ़ाया जाता है, 12th class maths में बहुत कुछ पढ़ाया जाता है. All that is not going to be a part of your, your general test. General test का syllabus is only till 10th. So you're talking about mensuration, area of a, if I ask you this, if I give you a rectangular plot, और इसमें मैं बोलता हूँ कि एक ऐसा strip जा रहा है walkway, and if I say this is 20 and this is 30 meters, 20 meters, and इसका width है 1 meter, and similarly 1 meter here. Find out the area which is not covered by the path. So this shaded area. Quickly you can find this out, but the point is doing it without mistake. You should know the area of a perimeter, area of a rectangle, perimeter of a rectangle depending upon the question, and solve the questions accordingly. If I ask you cone, this is a cone. If I give you the height and the radius है इसका height HA. Do you know what is the formula for the volume of a cone? Do you know what is the formula for the surface area of a cone? Total surface area, curved surface area, basic. You would have learned this in your 10th class only, not even in your 11th. So ये questions आएंगे यहाँ पे आपके quant में. Okay, so this is typically what you have learned in your school. इसमें calculation इतना ज़्यादा नहीं होगा जितना previous वाले में देखा हमने. ठीक है? So yeah, the test here in this section is not much about calculation, but it's going to be more about your concept of basic math. Whereas the test of the previous section, this section, numerical ability wala section, here as a name itself indicates, it's more about your ability to test your numbers, calculation based. Okay? Then we are looking at another section called logical and analytical reasoning. So some of you might be wondering कि general mental ability क्या है और ये क्या है logical and analytical reasoning. So general mental ability I already explained to you. Logical and analytical reasoning. What is this all about? This is more about verbal reasoning. It is a reasoning topic where again logic is applied, but this logic is more to do with a bit of English and logic together. For example, I'll give you one simple one simple example. Look at this statement. If it rains, I open my umbrella. If it rains, I open my umbrella. I don't think you guys can see that. Let me write it once again. If it rains, I open my umbrella. Okay. Now, I will give you an observation. What has been observed? So the observation is, I opened my umbrella. Okay? So the statement is, if it rains, I will open my umbrella. And the observation is, मैंने अपना छतरी खोल दिया है. So now what is the conclusion? What can be the conclusion? First option, it did not rain. Second, it rained. Third, it could have rained, or rather, let me not use could, cannot be determined. Fourth, none of these. What is the answer to this? A simple example of what is the type of logic here. English and logic to be used together. So what is the answer to this? What do you think is the answer? This is the statement, question statement. This is the observation and this is the conclusion. So conclusion in चारों में से क्या हो सकता है? Jhansi says it rained. Anybody else who says the option is 2? Abhishek Roy, Mr. CSE, what are your answers? No answers? Okay, so here the answer is it cannot be determined. There is nothing you can confirm from it. The reason, understand the logic here. मैंने बोला कि अगर बारिश होगी तो मैं अपनी छतरी खोलूंगा. But look at it. Rain means opening of umbrella. Is the reverse correct? Opening of umbrella, does it necessarily means it is raining? I can also open my umbrella for other reasons. What could be the other reasons? So now we have all seen a heat wave. I am in Delhi, for example. The Delhi temperature till 2 days back was 44-45 degrees. I could open my umbrella to protect myself from the sun. Does it mean that it is raining? No, logically it is not correct. For example, if I say, if you study, if you don't study, you will fail. It does not mean that if you study, you will pass. कभी-कभी पढ़ाई करने के बाद भी we can fail. But definitely अगर आप नहीं पढ़ोगे तो आप fail होगे. So you need to understand how the sentences are connected. Okay? No, you cannot say it did not rain also, Akanksha. Okay, you cannot say whether it rained or it did not rain. There is no guarantee for either of them. So the correct answer is it cannot be determined. You cannot conclude what happened. Because it's like saying that if I am thirsty, I will drink water. But I can also drink water when I am getting a hiccup. Right? So it does not mean that if I am drinking water, I am thirsty. कुछ भी हो सकता है for drinking water. Ras Manjari, you have uploaded in light blue background. I think they have very specifically mentioned कि white background में होना चाहिए. So there is a time available for you to change your things in the admit card. So hopefully you can change it in that duration. You have to check it out. Okay, अगर अभी time है आपने submit नहीं किया है तो please change it. Okay, please stick to what they are saying, friends. सिंपल सा इंस्ट्रक्शन है, उसको फॉलो करो आप. Okay, so this is what is called as logical and analytical reasoning. इसमें strong and weak arguments, course of action, cause and effect, statement assumption, statement conclusion. This is the example of statement conclusion. वैसे there are 5 other types of questions that can come. These form logical and analytical reasoning section in the CUET general test paper. Now, if you are asking me once again where to practice it from, yes, we are giving some free content as a part of our Telegram group in BYJU'S Exam Prep. But otherwise, you can again go back to the same exams that I have spoken, especially last 2 years CLAT exam. 2020 and 2021 के CLAT exams के papers देखो. आपको 35 to 35, so about around 30 plus 30, 60 questions, you will get an idea of how these questions are made, rather how the answers are supposed to be taught, or rather understood. So that's as far as your logical and analytical reasoning goes. So these are the 5 sections. So let's take a quick breakup of the next 30 days. First 15 days, if you're starting today, what should you do for the first 15 days? Guys, first 15 days, please focus only on the basics. Do not go to very advanced questions. Don't worry about too difficult questions. Jitna bhi simple question say basic. The idea for the first 15 days, 2 weeks, is concepts and only concepts. Make sure your concepts are right in the place. And practice the problems after every concept. So this is one thing which many of you don't do. See, आपका आदत है स्कूल में, you read a question, maths को छोड़ दो, but normally what you do, you read a social studies, you read a history, you read English, and that's it. So here, it doesn't work just by reading the concept. Whenever you read a concept, it should be followed by at least 4 to 5 questions as practice on that concept. Otherwise, it is not going to be sticking into your mind. It's like learning English or any language for that matter. आप एक नए language में एक word सीखना है आपको, then you can't just say, okay, what is the meaning of, let's say, this word timid? Timid means somebody who is a bit scared, not very brave, not very, outright, not a person who steps out for anything. Timid is thoda डर के. So if you want to learn this meaning, एक बार अगर आप meaning पढ़ लिया, तो that will not be in your head unless you use this word again and again in your language. इसको इस्तेमाल करना पड़ेगा आपको बार-बार so that it gets synced into your system. Same thing happens in your preparation also. Okay? So if you learn a concept, it is not enough for you to just learn it. You have to learn that concept and apply it at least in 5-6 practice questions. तब जाके वो concept आपके दिमाग से पूरा मतलब it will be internalized into your system. That's what you need to do. And mocks लिखना चालू करो. Please remember, it is a test of speed. You have to get used to the idea of speed. Normally in your school exams, speed is not that much of a concern. Here, however, speed is of a much bigger concern. So you should write your mocks at least, write at least 2 mocks in these 15 days without fail. Now, after this next 7 days, after the first 2 weeks, the next 7 days, by the time you finish these 2 weeks, your basic concepts should have been in place. So, tab tak you should get an idea of, okay, maths में for example, मुझे पसंदा topics कौन से हैं? What are the topics that I hate? Make a list of the topics that you like or you are okay with, the topics that you hate. So, focus, make sure that at least you are okay plus like. Topic should be 70%. Okay, you cannot say that, sir, मुझे आधे topics पसंद है, other topics पसंद नहीं है. Then you are not going to have a good time. So at least 70% of the syllabus, you should either like it or you should be okay with it. Liking naturally होगा, okay तब होगे जब आप practice करके, see, even if you don't like, but if you're practicing it, you are able to solve few questions. That's how it becomes okay. Hate is a topic that you neither understand nor you're able to solve. Those type of questions or those type of topics should not be more than 30% of your syllabus. That is your target. So whatever it is, identify that in the first 15 days and make sure by the end of the 7 days, you are converting some of your hatreds into okays. The bottom line is you cannot go to the exam with more than 30% of the topics जो मुझे पसंद नहीं है ना पता भी नहीं है. That's not how you are supposed to go to the exam. Okay? The next thing is, एक बार ये हो गया. So the remaining 30%, एक बार आपने 70% okay या liking में डाल दिया आपके topics को, बाकी 30% topics which are your weak areas, forget them. Don't worry about it. Last 2 weeks or last 1 week, because by the end of the 7 days, this will be left out, 30%. इसको छोड़ दो आप, that is not your concern right now. Too less time to worry about it. Okay? Experiment with 2 to 3 mocks in the strategy. So now you know what is your like area, what is your dislike area. Now is the time for you to experiment in 1 or 2 mocks. So write 2 mocks in the 7 days if possible. Try to see, should I start with GK? Should I start with maths? What should I start with? What is good for me? In fact, that experiment can be done here also. एक बार आप क्वांट से चालू करके देखो. Is it an overload for you? Start with GK. Is it an overload for you? Start with, let's say, numerical ability. यार इतना सारा नंबर करके शुरुआत में मेरा दिमाग खराब हो गया है. I don't know how you are. Figure out which order is the best for you. That will take at least 5-6 mocks in total. So 2 plus probably 2 to 3 plus another 1 to 2 mocks. That's where you'll be having your entire 5 to 6 mocks. So by now at least 5 mocks. By the end of these 5 mocks, you should know at least first मैं किससे चालू करने वाला हूँ, ending में किससे करने वाला हूँ. At least that should be confirmed for you. Okay. In fact, I am saying if you have done your work properly, you would know first मैं क्या करूँगा, second, third, fourth, fifth. The order would be confirmed for you. Whatever the order is, it is confirmed. Last 7 days में इसको change मत करो. Don't change the order in the last 7 days. Stick to the order in the last 7 days. You should not change it. So let's say you decided कि पहले GK करूँगा, then you are going to do, let's say, numerical ability, then you're going to do logical and analytical reasoning, then you're going to do, let's say, general mental ability, and then you're going to do maths in the last. Fine. Whatever you decided here, stick to that, irrespective of what happens in the mock. कभी मॉक में नंबर कम आया तो भी फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. कंटिन्यू विद द सेम ऑर्डर. लास्ट वीक में प्लीज ऑर्डर चेंज मत करो. ओके. एंड मेक श्योर दैट यू राइट एट लीस्ट 2 मॉक्स, 1 to 2 मॉक्स. अगर टाइम मिलेगा तो 3, बट 1 डेड. दिस इज सैक्रोसैंट. लास्ट 2 days ऑफ योर एग्जाम मॉक मत लिखो. वॉट एवर इज द एग्जाम डेट, उससे 2 दिन पहले आप मॉक, उससे 2 दिन, सो दैट एंटायर ड्यूरेशन ऑफ 2 weeks, do not write any mocks. Please don't write any mocks. Okay? Jhansi, you should prepare for your domains right now. You have no time. You have to start preparation simultaneously. Okay? So friends, that brings me to the end of the session right now. I hope you got at least some idea about how to go about, go ahead preparing for the next 30 days. I have given you an idea about all the 5 sections और होते क्या है, क्या क्या prepare करना है. I think I have been able to explain to a little bit of my, at least little bit in this session. I have taken a lot of sessions previously. You can look at all my videos on CUET. You will get a better idea. And I'm going to also take a lot more, sessions going forward. So please like this particular video, click on the bell icon as well as subscribe to our channel, because you will get the notification when I'm coming up with more and more of these sessions for CUET. Thank you friends, and all the very best.